Extraordinary coverage from Mike DeCourcy in San Antonio. Great columns. Great on our show last week, going into the weekend for the Final Four and the Alamodome. And then he was there, obviously, last night for that crazy game, that crazy finish. And you wrote about that last play, from the minute it started to how, bottom line is, the guy that was the MOP, the scorer, the guy that does all the buckets, was actually the guy that played the best defense and made the play to ruin it for Houston and Kelvin Sampson.
Yeah, I found it really interesting that he was able to do that. And I will tell you that it all happened so fast that a lot of us at courtside were like, who was that flashed? Who was that masked man who flashed out and challenged the shot from Emmanuel Sharp and forced him to basically abandon the shot, and it ended up failing. I think in the moment, if Emmanuel had it to reconsider, he would have gone ahead with the shot. It would have been better off to have been blocked. It may have come back to him, may have gone out of bounds. Deciding to let go of the ball and let it fall to the floor, and therefore it would have been a violation if he had picked it up. That was the worst possible decision in that moment. But what Kelvin Sampson was disappointed in was that if Emmanuel Sharp had pump faked there,
Right.
There's no way that he could that Clayton could have stayed in the play. It would have been an open shot for Sharp, and that was his disappointment there. But that's the nature of those last minutes, and it's also the nature of having the great players. Scott, when we went into the Final Four, we said the pros were at Duke, obviously, and then secondarily at Florida. And you saw the difference. After the game, about 45 minutes to an hour after the game, Kelvin Sampson stood with a lot of reporters surrounding him and talked about how his team was built to win this tournament, how hard it is, but his team was built for it because how together they were and how mature they were and how tough they were. And he was right about all that. But they weren't built to win it because they weren't talented enough. That you just have to have better players. You can't win it with good college players. You win it with pros who are good college players. And I don't mean pros because everybody's getting paid now. I mean guys that are going to the NBA. They're going to be first-round picks. It's what won it for 4 decades now. And Houston did not have those guys.
And Florida had 2 of them at least.
Yes. Walter Clayton, fantastic player who the NBA scouts are starting to catch on to. And I think Thomas Houck he showed last night. I mean, he's a first-round guy. That finish he had, 12 minutes left, 12 and change. He gets fouled on the break and invents a twisting layup that would have been flattering to Julius Erving. Now, I'm not saying he's Julius Erving, but that play, Julius would have been proud to hang that one on the wall.
It was like a backwards finger roll.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly. I talked to him afterward. He had no idea what he'd done. He just was trying to get up there. But that's what the great players do. That's what the really gifted players do. They make plays that others can't conceive. And Thomas was a huge hero in the Texas Tech game. They're nowhere near last night's game if it weren't for his 3-pointers at the end of Texas Tech. Those 2 guys were the reason that they won it. And that's how it almost always works, Scott. It's just you have to have those guys. And interestingly, a year from now, Houston will have those players. They've got 2 McDonald's All-Americans coming in. One of them's a top 10 prospect. They'll have that talent, and they will lose Jaywan Roberts, and they'll lose L.J. Cryer, but they will have back Francis. They will have back Sharp. It's still a really strong team, and now they're talented enough. A lot of people after last night's game were saying, well, this was his shot. No, it wasn't. Next year's the shot. Next year's when he's got the guys. We'll see if they come together in the same way that this team did, but they may not need to come to get quite as together as this team was because every now and then they'll have guys who can talent their way past it.
Right. What about the Boozer twins going to Duke? Like, they're going to be better too. They might be better than they were with this team.
They might. It's going to be harder though because Boozer is a terrific player. But Cooper Flag was generational. And when one says generational, we don't really mean generational. We mean like maybe once a decade. And that's what Cooper is. I think that Boozer is fantastic. And he's going to be an excellent player. And they may be a better team. It depends on what they do at point guard. They weren't strong at point guard this year. They were passable. And Sion James did a lot of good things, but you saw at the end the weakness there, why it mattered. He couldn't get the ball in bounds. He couldn't generate offense. They had to once again go Cooper Flag too often one-on-one with Jawan Roberts. So we saw the weakness there. They've got to get better at that spot if they want to win this thing next year.
I thought James had some sloppy moments in that game on Saturday that he looked lost. But let me ask you about, because during the game, I don't know if you caught it or not, but I was like responding to you as you were tweeting about the refs. And I was like, I don't know if you saw my tweet that my dog could ref this game better. Now, I don't want to insult anyone by name, but I don't understand. Like, what was your thoughts on the 4 fouls in the first half? That's impossible. And then in the second half, they called 25 fouls. Like, I was like, what is happening here?
That was very poor. It was a very poorly officiated championship game. And one of the wonders of last night's game was that it superseded, that it rose above the terrible officiating in that game. 4 fouls in the first half was a joke. Look, it's not like it was in 2000 when you were allowed to do whatever, and Cincinnati took advantage of that. Michigan State took advantage of that. And I'm not condemning them because they played to the way the game was officiated 25 years ago. But you can't do those things now. And Houston plays a very rugged style of basketball, but not like that because they know they can't. But they don't ever play 20 minutes without fouling more than 3 times. It's just they can't. They're much too physical. I saw one illegal screen. I saw one illegal screen that looked like the guy's head was going to come off, and they didn't call it. And I knew right then where we were headed for that period. And honestly, in some ways, it was almost hypocritical to do that and then come back in the second half and call everything, and including several fouls that weren't committed. And I thought that, in particular, I thought official Doug Sermons had a terrible second half, and one of the calls that I thought were really poor. When Todd Golden lost it on it and probably went out of the coach's box or whatever, Sermons was right in front of me, 45, 50 feet away, and called a tech on him. And
I know.
I did not think that was a strong performance by him. The officials at the Final Four have to do better because the players and the teams are giving everything. How about the officials giving everything as well?
How about they brag about before the game? They brag about how many big games they've reffed, and then they go out and butcher that game. Like, I was like, I don't care how many times you've been in it. If you suck, you suck. It's that simple. I couldn't believe the techs that they were throwing, and I couldn't believe the second half. It was like I was watching an NBA game where they'll blow the whistle 7 million times in a regular season game, and I'm like, this is so boring. I'm going to bed. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to bed. But it ended up being, at the end of the day, a fantastic finish, I thought. Like, here they came back. They stole the game. They got it done. They won their 3rd national championship. And once again, Houston fails. And you've done what now? Did you say 35 of them?
This is my 35th, yes. And
God,
I heard from some people that I respect today saying that they thought the ending was kind of a dullard, but we never seen anything like it before.
It was great.
How can you be upset about unique?